Hello everyone and welcome to another session of AP Human Geography with Mr. Elrod. We're coming to a close on our Unit 2 discussion of population, and specifically we're talking about movement. Today we're going to be discussing what's called the model of migration transition. And just like several of the other models and things we've looked at this particular unit, the model of migration transition is also going to be referring back to the demographic transition model. So the model of migration transition was developed by the geographer Wilbur Zielinski. Basically all we're looking at is the model to help us explain and predict why it is that people will move and then where people might be moving within different stages of the demographic transition model. So as I was talking about earlier, the demographic transition model really does a lot more than just explain population growth. It also helps us to understand what's happening during different stages of development, really. And so it's not just about population growth when we look at the model of migration transition, but we should also see it through a lens of development. As countries develop, people are going to be moving around for different reasons, and they're going to be migrating to new places for different reasons. So let's go through this real quick. Just like the demographic transition model, the model of migration transition is only going to have 4 stages associated with it. So again, the idea here is that each stage of the demographic transition model is going to create different incentives or motives for people to leave the place that they're at and go to a new place. So if we look at a stage 1 country, again, remember, stage 1 country, according to some, they still exist, others say they do not. A stage 1 country is a very low-level development. People are living subsistence lifestyles. They're most likely very primitive in terms of their technology, whether it's medical technology or agricultural technology. If they have an economy and all, it's very basic. And so you think about the type of society that people are living in: high rates of birth, high rates of death. Their main reason for movement is going to be looking for new places of shelter or food. And so remember, migration is a permanent movement, so something had to have happened where maybe a natural disaster occurred, or maybe there's a long period of drought, or it's possible that maybe they got into a war with another group of people. But either way, they're following food, or maybe something happened to their village, and so they're having to seek a new place for shelter, and so that's going to be their main reason for moving. And so you think about the distance that they're going to travel, probably not going to be a very long distance, so that they can just satisfy those needs for food and shelter. If we think about a stage 2 country, again, think about the demographic transition model and what's happening in stage 2. Stage 2 is characterized by large amounts of population growth, and so during this particular period, if there's a lot of people being not necessarily being born, but there's a lot of people surviving, that means there are going to be fewer resources to go around. So in stage 2, we see that resources are used up, and so again, that's because you have more people. Also, you have a situation where there's less land available. If you look at Europe during the Industrial Revolution, you had a situation where especially with Germany, there was less land available for people because the children were surviving, and so parents didn't have as much to give for an inheritance, and so people it seemed like they were forced to go off and start a new life in a new place for new opportunities. So these resources are becoming more and more scarce, and so this is going to cause people to move to a new place to look for something that has more abundant resources. And so this, a lot of times, is going to cause people to leave the country that they're a part of. And so really, if you look at stage 1, that's more of an internal movement, whereas a stage 2 is going to be an external movement, or move to a new country. So again, mainly because resources are being used up, there's less land available, there's more people, and so they're going to need to go to a new place where either more resources are available or there's just more space. Again, in today's world, what we see is that people are actually moving to countries that are more developed or that are better off economically, so that they can participate in the economy that will have room for them. Also, there are resources that will be available for them, so they go to that place of more abundant resources. Now, if you're looking during the Industrial Revolution period, and you look at when Europeans started migrating to the United States, even prior to the Industrial Revolution, the United States wasn't necessarily a more developed country, but there was more space available, there was more resources available, and so that caused a lot of the Europeans to come to the United States as a result of that. Now, if we think about stage 3 and stage 4 countries, these are our more developed countries, and so there's really no need for people to move to a new country because of a lack of resources. Stage 3 and 4 countries, there should be plenty of economic resources. There should be plenty of environmental resources to go around. People are wealthy enough in order to afford them anyway. And so this is going to be characterized by a more intra-regional movement, so movement within the regions or within a region itself in a country. And so we talked a little bit about this. So you will see this rural to urban movement. People may be moving to the cities for jobs and things along those lines. And then over time, as more people move from the rural to the urban areas, you'll have the urban to suburban movement, the creation of the suburbs like we've had in the United States, as people try to get away from the cities and the crowds, and also the poverty and all the problems that come with some urban poverty and the crowding of people in cities, whether it's pollution or crime, poor schools, and those types of things. And then you even see the urban to the rural movement, the counter-urbanization, and then potentially people moving back into the cities with this whole situation of gentrification. So again, it's really not just, it is about population, but it's more than population when we look at the migration transition in relationship to the demographic transition model. It's more a thought about, in conjunction with population, what's happening to a country in terms of development and how well off are the people, and what's going to cause them to move to a new place. And so those are the 4 stages that we look at. I hope that helps, and I hope to see you back next time, and we're going to finish up with a talk on short-term movements.